again. This case is cited in every single one of our contempt proceedings. So you want to know the origins? We go back to 1899 because this was a judge, Lord, what's his name now? Well, never mind. He was the judge in this particular case. And it was reiterated in Gilbert Arnie, another case. This one came from Barbados. Same story, yeah.
No. Are there other avenues? I mean, maybe if it says not to publicly criticize the court, probably. I mean, in consideration of all that, but are there other avenues for people who do feel or have reason to believe that the court may not be so fair? Are there other avenues for that?
Well, there is no other avenue if the court takes this position. There is no other avenue. The question is, what does the court think of itself? Now, I'm no specialist in social psychology, right? But I think if it's like those people who are rather inebriated, and then you tell them, hey, I think you had it. No, I'm not drunk. You know? Oh, I'm not mad. You know, I mean, look, if you have a certain confidence in your standing, you wouldn't worry too much about these things. Because the more you worry about people attacking you, the more people might think that there's something worth attacking. I don't know, this is a bit psychology to me, right? One would have thought that if the power to punish for contempt were used much more judiciously, only in very, very extreme cases, like say Gopalan Nair, people might say, all right, you can criticize the judiciary, but maybe not as bad. I'll give you one classic example. This occurred in 1983, I think, 1983. This was during the time of the spy catcher case, right? I don't know any of you remember this famous book called The Spy Catcher, which was explosive because the secrets of MI5 were all being spilled out. And the irony was that the British government sought and obtained an injunction in Great Britain alone, right, for the publication of this work. In other words, you stop publication of this work. But it was available all over Europe and in America, of course, right? And so the British were really infuriated. This is ridiculous. I mean, you know, you're banning the book here in Britain. It's about a British subject. It's available around the world everywhere else. What kind of a nonsense decision is this? The case went all the way to the House of Lords. It was a narrow decision, 3-2, right? 3 judges to 2. And the Daily Mirror, not known for its subtlety, were equally incensed. And what they did the day after the judgment is, they published a picture of the 3 judges in the majority. They published it upside down. And the headline was, "You fools." You fools. Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Just wondering, wouldn't the direct attack on the court be similar to defamation? So, maybe...
No, but you see, it's not so precise because you're not attacking any judge in particular.
Gopalan Nair.
Oh, that one is so clear. I mean, that one, I think nobody would quarrel.
Even the court itself is quite a big, it's quite a big rush to tar the entire court system. So, unless maybe one way to work around this is to provide certain avenue for people who do have some grievance.
Yes, but unfortunately there is no such thing at the moment. Well, to finish off the Daily Mirror story, Lord Templeman, who was one of the 3 judges up there, was asked, why haven't you taken up contempt proceedings against the Daily Mirror? And he said, well, if people choose to think we are fools, that's up to them. But if at any point anyone had suggested that we were corrupt, we would have been on them in a moment. So here is one of these latter-day English judges, right, who obviously is not the sort who is living in a small colony consisting principally of colored people, looking at it rather openly to say, look, you know, if you think I'm stupid, okay, that's fine. But if you say I'm corrupt, right? That would really dampen the position. So, tough call, right? But that is where the law is at the moment. Then we have sedition, right? This act was almost forgotten until about 4 or 5 years ago. It's been in the statute books for the longest time. In many countries in the Commonwealth, sedition doesn't even exist anymore. We have a Sedition Act, right? And the offense of sedition is that if you publish anything with a seditious tendency, you would be guilty of an offense. What is a seditious tendency? If you bring into hatred or contempt or excite disaffection against the government, excite citizens of Singapore or residents of Singapore to attempt to procure in Singapore the alteration otherwise than by lawful means or any matter by law established, bring into hatred or contempt or to excite disaffection against the administration of justice in Singapore, raise discontent or disaffection among citizens of Singapore or residents in Singapore, promote feelings of ill will and hostility between different races and classes of the population in Singapore. Of this lot, the last one is the one that has the headlines. Okay. A number of bloggers, if I remember, there were 3 bloggers who were charged for racist blogging, right? Promoting ill feelings towards the Malay community, right? Benjamin Koh was one. I can't remember the other names, but there were 3 of them, right? Now, this, as you can see, is not just about hostility between the different races. It is so wide. Look, I mean, if you talk about race discontent and disaffection, what does that mean? Our economy is so bad. Wow, then everybody angry. Then, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you know, this is a very, very dangerous act. Okay? But my guess is that the state generally would not use it. They generally would not use it unless we're talking about this portion, right? Exciting disaffection against the government. So we're supposed to love the government all the time. I mean, you know, this is another instance of us hanging on to some of our colonial legacies very, very tightly. We have something called the Maintenance of Religious Harmony Act. Here, I think is a little bit more sophisticated insofar as exciting disaffection. Under Section 8 of the Act, the minister may issue restraining order against any priest, monk, pastor, imam, etc., where the minister is satisfied that that person has committed or is attempting to commit any of the following acts. Number 1, causing feelings of enmity, hatred, ill will, and hostility between different religious groups. Okay, this makes sense. Carrying out activities to promote a political cause or a cause of any political party while under the guise of propagating or practicing any religious belief. This is the idea that you do not want the politicians to masquerade as either religious personalities or in any other form, right? Carry out subversive activities under the guise of propagating or practicing any religious belief, and exciting disaffection against the president or the republic or the government while or under the guise of propagating or practicing any religious belief. Now, the only thing that happens here is that you are issued a restraining order, which means that you are not allowed to speak publicly, right? No restraining order has ever been issued since 1996 when this act was first passed. Okay. Right, now we come to the last portion. Maybe a little bit less exciting, but probably violated more by bloggers than any other provision. Copyright. Now, in summary, copyright is covered under Singapore's Copyright Act, and the question is, what are the works that are protected? Part 3 of the Act protects literary works, dramatic works, musical works, artistic works. Part Part 4 covers sound recordings, cinematographic film, TV and sound broadcasts, cable